I might look a little different today. That's because I've switched out my fancy camera for a web camera. We're taking a look at what I would consider sort of a borderline professional web camera. This is the YoloCam S3 from YOLOLIV, I believe is how you pronounce this company name right here. Let me just show you some of the stuff that they've made. They've made let me just go back to the main page. These are multi-camera streaming setups. This one has 8 HDMI inputs. They've got all kinds of these things. So they come from that world. And the YoloCam S7 is something I was looking at because it's a camera that you can use with your computer very easily with all kinds of plugs and stuff. And it has a micro four thirds sensor and it accepts, whatever micro four thirds lens that you want to slap in front of it. So now they're making webcams and we have the S3 right here. I always use OEM keys. I grab them over at whokeys.com. This is the price you're going to pay for Windows 11 Pro if you get a retail key. Let's check those prices on whokeys.com. $30, we can do better. Put in TS25, click apply. There we go, $23.22. You got Windows 11 Pro, Windows 10 Pro, Windows 11 Home, Windows 10 Home, and we have a couple different flavors of LTSC. 2021 gets updates until 2027, and the 2021 IoT edition gets updates until 2032. Also, if you're sick of paying that monthly fee for Office, you can get an offline version of Office. They've got 2019 and 2016. 2016 will get most people by, in my opinion. You can also use the coupon code TS25 on these to save 25% on this as well. Let's go ahead and check out with our copy of Windows 11 Pro. All right, just put in my card info. There we go. Click on View Keys and Codes. Once you get to the User Center, click on Get the Key. You'll see your key right here in the middle. Go ahead and highlight that, copy that, press Start, and then type Activate. You'll see Activation Settings. Go ahead and click on that. And then right here it says Not Active. Just click on Change Product Key. Paste in our product key and then click on Activate. Hey, look at that, active. Head over to whokeys.com. Thanks to them for sponsoring. And now on to our regularly scheduled program. What's different about this one immediately compared to a lot of the other webcams is the sensor. The sensor is bigger. It's just a huge sensor in this very sleek body. And as you can see there, it's seeking a little bit. I've got it on continuous autofocus right now, but we'll go through the settings because there is some software as well. So before we do that, right now I'm in a dark room. I like to keep everything nice and dark. We're picking up a little bit of the light from other angles of the room, but we do have some background blur, as you can see. It's not like crazy background blur like with a big camera or whatever. I also wanted to do a test during the daytime when it's really bright. Look at all this sunlight. What a terrible thing. I'm going to get out of here as quickly as possible, but this is what it's like when there's like light coming in. As you can see, there's a lot of harsh light, but we can come in here and we can change the white balance, like, ooh, yes. What an autumn vibe, yes. It's autumn, yes. Put it back on auto. This is the auto. I feel like auto is a little bit cold for my taste, so I don't know. Sure, this is good. We have all kinds of different settings we can mess with here. Back to the evening. That should be the name of the show, actually. We're going to go through the specs first, and then I'm going to hop in and take a look at the software. I do want to show you this. When I change screens, it does really, it's a webcam. I'm sitting close to my screen, and the content of the monitors does affect the light that's hitting my face, but if you're using that for streaming, you're used to that kind of thing. So the sensor on this, 1 1/3 inch sensor. It's bigger than the current camera that I use, which is the OBSBot 4K. I think it's the tiny 4K. That one was pretty much the biggest sensor you can get. This one's slightly bigger than that sensor. And they say it's quote unquote master tuned for 4K. So we're 4K. We're doing 4K right now. You can do 1080p as well. Now, one other interesting thing about this, I'll show you later, but it comes with a magnetic base. And the magnetic base is double interesting because there are magnets on two sides of the S3. You've got a magnet on the bottom and a magnet on the side. So if you wanted to set this up for vertical streaming and have a few of these going with your system, you can set these up that way and do vertical. But I like 16:9. I'll show you what vertical looks like in just a minute. As far as the autofocus goes, it uses phase detection, which takes two images and then lines them up, kind of the way a rangefinder camera works. Right now, let's see what happens when I move. And we'll try that on the desk in just a second. I'm going to move it down to the desk and try it out with some products in just a second. But we do have, I think, fairly decent clarity. Maybe I don't look quite as sexy as normal because the lighting is weird in here. I don't have this place lit for a webcam. I would probably turn up the lights a little bit, but we're leaving it because I don't think it looks bad. All right, so the focal length on this is 24 millimeters, focal length equivalent of 35. And then the f-stop is f1.85. So that's why we have a little bit of background blur behind me. Now, if you want more background blur, you're going to need to go into your open broadcaster and do something like this. I got this background blur right there. There we go. I'll turn that on. We'll leave that on for a minute just to see how it looks. Ugh. So a little bit more background blur. I'm not sure how I feel about the NVIDIA background blur. Even on the low settings, it feels a little heavy-handed. So yeah, it would be nice to have a little bit more software blur, somewhere with like a happy medium between this and the other thing. You know, in a small window down at the bottom, I think this amount of background blur looks pretty good. But, you know, even at a small window like this, you could turn off the background blur. I don't know. What do you think looks better? On or off down here in the corner? It's up to you. Let me know. You can do it any way you like. We'll leave it off just so we can see what the actual camera looks like. But just note that, you know, if I were to be streaming, I would probably leave a little bit of this NVIDIA background blur on. I think it smooths out everything as well. In order to install that, you have to install NVIDIA's SDK and have an RTX graphics card. So yeah, magnetic mount that you have also unfolds, and then it just attaches to your monitor like pretty much any other webcam. It's a very standard mount that's tried and true. As far as the video resolutions go, well, with H.264 and MJPEG and NV12, you can do 4K at 30 or 25 FPS, 1080p at 60 FPS. I'm doing 30 Hertz, yes, because I'm doing 4K. The exposure compensation is plus or minus 8. It says AI tuning. I have no idea what it's doing, and it doesn't say on their website, but they needed to put the word A or the initialism AI into the title to make the investors happy. That's all. Like, you don't care about AI in your webcam. You just want it to work, right? Like, nobody cares except for the marketing people, the tech bros, and the executives. But it has AI in the title, so yay, money. It also supports HDR. Audios? No, there's no audio, because they know if you're buying a camera this fancy, you don't want audio that sounds like a webcam. You want to use a real microphone. So it's designed for people that are using real microphones doing broadcast stuff. They're not even gonna fool around by wasting space, time, energy, everything else by smacking a microphone, and I really respect that. Connectivity, just a single USB-C cable in the back. It's USB 3. Also, you got a USB-C to USB-A adapter. It consumes 5 volts at 1 amp. And then on top of that, the mounting adapter, we also have a 1/4-inch screw mount, so you can mount it on a tripod or something like that. All right, let's take a look at the software. Let's put me in the corner, shall we? I like to be in the corner. I be down here. That way you can, you know, get an idea of what it looks like while I'm just chilling in the corner and doing whatever. What am I doing? Oh yeah, the software. There we go. All right, so this is the software. When you first start out, you pick, you know, whether you want it to be vertical or horizontal, and you can go up to 60 Hertz if you're doing 1080p. And then we have the different, I guess, just random. Then you have just your standard stuff right here. Contrast. There we go. Lens correction, whatever else. See, if I do the lens color correction, let me show you what this looks like on and off. I guess that's with the lens correction off, and this is on. I guess it's kind of balancing it out. I'm not sure if I like it better on or off. I think I might like it better, I don't know, maybe off. Lens shading correction, I'll leave it off. I'm already on's brighter, whatever. Then we got our focus down here. We have continuous autofocus or single autofocus if you want to just say stay autofocused on me, or we can do face over here, up here. Come on, let's get down with this. Didn't set my clock. All right, can you focus on me now, huh? Pretty quick. There. Next up, we have some zoom settings, and it can do up to 4x zoom, way on in, if you're doing 1080p without losing any quality. Keep saying USB 3. I've got it hooked up to a USB 3.2 port, or USB 3.2. It's 10 gigabits per second. So, yeah, got your upgrades and all that stuff here. Here is our exposure control. Right now, it's on auto, but you can put it on manual. And then, oh my goodness, bring the ISO up. There we go, up. What do we need our ISO at? 1600? So I probably need more light in here, I've realized. 1/30th. Oh, now we can bring it down. Can I improve this by doing manual? Up to 800. Let's see how this looks. Do I like it better? Let's go back to auto. Auto's a bit brighter, but we have also the EV compensation. I like it to be slightly darker because that's how I do things. There we go. -1. And the background's kind of bright right now, so I think maybe -1 will look okay on the EV. You got your anti-flicker settings too if you want to turn those on. I don't have a camera up for here right now because I'm using OBS. Then we got your white balance setting down here. You can put it on manual and, you know, mess around with the white balance. I don't know what that is. Let's find out. It's doing something, I'm sure. There's our white balance. Auto is fine with me. Cool. And here is our audio settings. Why is there audio setting? Oh yeah, this is a program that works with multiple different cameras, so ignore that. Over here's our color. All right, and we can like come in and like really, geez, mess with the color grading if you want to. Probably gonna have to reset this nonsense. How about this color here? That's pretty in depth. We can do all kinds of color correction with this thing. How about this? So yeah, you can do a decent amount of color correction with this. Confirm, turn that off. All right, and scene, standard scene. Okay, so that's pretty much the parameters. It's kind of like controlling just a regular camera. Now I'm going to put this over on the desk and see how quickly it focuses with like products and stuff. Now here we are on the desk. Let's see how quickly it focuses on some things. I've still got it on autofocus continuous, so close up. That's quick. Okay, here. That's pretty good. Here again. A little bit blurry right there. Is that because I'm too close maybe? All right, and here. Does it know? Yes, it's smart. Look at that. And now it's going to start getting confused with all the other things. There we go. Really bright. Feels a little bit soft when I get close. Right about here, yeah, it's a little bit too soft when I get close. But right about there is good, really good. But right when you get super close, oh, that's not bad. Okay, it's a little better. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, that's good. Look at that. Okay. See if I see that VGA port right there. It's all dark. Okay, I'm pretty pleased with this autofocus system. All right, I want to compare this to my OBSBot stuff. Okay, I switched over to my OBSBot. This is the 4K, tiny 4K. And I'm running it at 1080p because if I run it at 4K, let me just show you what happens. A lot of times with the OBSBot, when I run it at 4K, it happens, even on software or hardware encoding. So I don't know why it does that, but yeah. So I usually have to run this at 1080p. I'm putting it back on 1080p right now. There we go. Even then, there's still some stutter. It's not quite as fast as the other camera, so it seems. But, you know, the difference here between the OBSBot and I feel like this, the OBSBot has a smoother look. It does a better job with its algorithms when it comes to like just making your skin look a little bit nicer and stuff. And the only thing I'm doing differently here, I'm going to go from, there we go, put on the background blur. Because this is all part of the OBSBot suite. But the big difference is with the software. Let me show you here. So this is the OBSBot Center right here. And the OBSBot Center has this whole beauty section right here. And you can turn on your background blur and do retouching. So I did tone, smooth. Now this is not actually changing my face. It's just changing the way the light looks. So this is, to me, something I use to make sure I don't have to do any post-processing. And above and beyond that, you got filters. I'm not doing any of that stuff. Then we have filters here. And I'm using this filter. So as you can see with that filter, I'll turn it on and off. The filter's on right now. Now it's off. So it just kind of gives it a smoothed over look, maybe a little bit brighter, but yeah. So that's one thing that I think would be nice to have over here with the YOLO camera system. I think it would be cool if it had just a few of those things. I know that that's, you know, kind of a big deal, like having that extra bit of software and retouching. So let me show you something with the clarify and the tone here. I've got it on 26. If I bring it up too much, it makes my scan look too smooth, but if I take it all the way down, it doesn't change too much. Like I said, it's just like what I feel like if you were doing a news show or a broadcast, they would put a little bit of powder on you so you don't shine. And I feel like this, turning this tone down and then turning it up to like, it's just a subtle. So yeah, I'm not really, like I said, I'm not really doing much. See, 0, 0, everything's 0. Body, all that's 0. Not doing any makeup right here. So that's, I think, something that gives a slight edge to this, because I think this is a slightly smoother look, even though I also think the YoloCam has a better sensor by a little bit, and seems to be processing things better. You know, it's a little bit faster and all that. So yeah, that's the thing. So this camera now you're looking at here is the OBSBot Meet 2 4K. And let's see how this looks up close. Very similar. I do think the YOLO S3 was a bit better. Let's see how fast it focuses. Okay, this one can get really close and still focus like right there. They're both pretty similar. All right, let's try with the lights out. All right, it's bringing up its exposure to compensate. Okay. Here. Okay. Yeah, that's, wow. Yeah. All right, so what do I think about this? I think it might be one of the sharpest webcams I've ever seen. I said webcam because we're in a kind of a really high-tiered area here when we're talking about this as a webcam because, you know, it's not quite DSLR quality, but they're pulling a lot of the stuff that they learned from their professional stuff and putting it into this. And I think when it comes to streaming cameras, it would be nice to have a different type of software because I'm really used to the OBSBot software. Now, to be fair, all the adjustments that we were doing were happening live on the camera. So this has smarter technology. It's faster. It looks better in 4K in my opinion than my OBSBot. So if you're doing 4K stuff and you need a side camera, I think this will do a better job. There was no stutter with this one either. Whereas with the OBSBot, for some reason I always get stutter, but you know, when I'm running 4K. When I'm running 4K with this one, there was no stutter. So that's something. But I do like a lot of the filters and stuff that you get, and I like how smooth everything looks with the OBSBot. It does a really good job of just like saying, okay, here's all the light. Let's make sure it doesn't look, I don't know. It's almost like I went through makeup and wardrobe and now here I am. Whereas this one, you're just getting sort of more of the raw thing and you can do post-production later if you wanted to. So, or you can do post-production inside, or I guess pre-production or whatever, inside of Open Broadcaster. You can install filters on something like this. But, you know, this one, like I was saying, all the stuff you're doing is happening live just on the camera feed. With the OBSBot, you're doing all that stuff separately, and then you're sending a virtual camera signal to whatever program. And maybe that's where the stuttering comes in because that adds some latency and everything. Whereas this one, you're just getting raw stuff. So I do like this approach better. And I don't know if you can do filters and all that kind of stuff while doing this approach. You know, just like this is purely color grading and you know, changing the image, changing the contrast, changing the zoom and everything right here on the device. So yeah, that's better. Anyway, that's it. You saw how it looks. You saw what it can do. You saw it during the daytime. In my opinion, it's still a webcam, but possibly the cleanest and sharpest webcam out there. And, you know, I think as the software matures, or if you wanted to use some side software to do other things, I think it could be a really viable, you know, camera for professional stuff. Have a bunch of these, switch from one to the other, use them for showing products, use them for cooking videos, whatever. If you got a really nice well-lit room, it's going to look really good. So low light performance, okay in my opinion, but there's only so much you could do with a small sensor, even though it's bigger than regular webcam sensors. All right, let me know what you think of the YoloCam S3. See you in the comments.